Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today I've got a special video for you, kind of combining an album review and a discography ranking. We are going to be talking about Judicator. So if you have not heard this band before, this is a power metal band from the USA. They have just released their 6th album today, titled The Majesty of Decay, released November 25th, 2022. So I'm going to do a review of the brand new album, but I'm also going to do a discography ranking, giving you my thoughts on their career as a whole. So to give you a little bit of a spiel about the band to start this off, the band started as just a two-piece. The two original members actually met at a Blind Guardian concert, which I think is pretty much the best way to start a band ever. You meet someone at a concert of one of your favorite bands and get so inspired that you go create music together, and that's just awesome. Wicked way to start a band. After 5 albums, the original guitarist did part ways with the band. The only original member is now the vocalist, John Yelland. Typically this band puts out concept albums, usually historically based, but every now and then they will change their lyrical content instead of being historically based to maybe be a little more personal. They did that on their 3rd album, and they do it again on this brand new album. If you haven't heard the band before, I would say for fans of bands like Blind Guardian for sure is the #1 influence here, and even a band like Iced Earth, maybe with some of the more aggressive US power metal stylings in the riffings, riffings, I don't know if that's even a word, but yeah, I feel like this band is super underrated, don't necessarily get the recognition in the power metal circles that they should. I feel that their discography is pretty flawless. This is a pretty tough one to rank, all 6 of these albums, because even a lot of them I think are so neck and neck. Like when I went back and listened to all of these in sequential order, it's so tough to try to pick which ones I like better. But nonetheless, I'm going to start off by reviewing the brand new album, and then I'll get to the discography ranking after that. So yeah, The Majesty of Decay, it's 10 tracks, it's about an hour long. The lineup on this album, got John Yelland on vocals, the original member, and you've got Jordan Elkses on drums. I might be mispronouncing that, so I apologize. John Dolan on bass, and Balmore Lemus on lead guitar. So I'll start this off by saying this is definitely their most experimental and progressive album in their career for sure. I remember a little while back I was talking to the band like just through a YouTube chat, asking when the new album was coming out, and they said soon, end of the year for sure, but definitely buckle up because you're going to be in for a surprise. It's a lot different than their previous works. And yeah, they weren't kidding. This is definitely a curveball, goes in a completely different direction than maybe what you would have been expecting. They've brought in so many different styles and influences on here. I would definitely not even call this a straight ahead power metal album. There's so many different influences on display here. Like I mentioned earlier, this is still a concept album, but the historical themes are gone. This kind of ties back to their 3rd album, At the Expense of Humanity, with some more personal themes, and you can feel the emotion throughout the lyrics. That overall, it's got a great concept throughout. So I'm going to give you kind of a track-by-track run-through. I'll give you my thoughts on the album as a whole, and then I will score it out of 10 at the end. Sorry, my paper's kind of screwed up there. Okay, so the album kicks off with Euphoric Parasitism. So this one starts acoustically. It's kind of got this like subdued, tranquil opening, but then the nice lead guitar comes in and really just sets the vibe for the album as a whole. It's got almost like this unsettling like atmosphere, but it's really intriguing for an opening track. And I really find that the vocals carry this song a lot here. They're just so powerful. There are really nice guitar melodies here, and the bass and drums are really excellent with their backing rhythms, but really the vocals are what drive this song and a lot of the album as well, which I'm sure you will hear me talking about more as I go through all of these songs. And after that, it goes to the title track, The Majesty of Decay. This one picks up the pace a little bit compared to the opening track. This is just a nice rocker, kind of almost has like a classic hard rock feel to it. It's just got really energetic guitar riffs and really nice solos as well. And once again, John's vocals here just really shine. It's just a great showcase of how dynamic his range is. Like he hits so many different pitches, and he does lots of the backing tracks himself, I believe. and just the way that he brings it all together, it just really showcases his skills as a vocalist. And yeah, absolutely great track here. After that, the third song, From the Belly of the Whale. This one has a very progressive vibe to it. There's so much melody from the guitar and bass here, and even the vocal lines, like vocal patterns, really add some melody to this song. Throughout, it's kind of got more of a darker tone, very doomy in parts, but I still find it uplifting, even though it's got a darker tone throughout. Overall, it's still an uplifting track. Very interesting, well done stuff here. After that, the fourth song, Daughter of Swords. This one's more of like a traditional Judicator song. Got the power metal vibe to it with some of the riffing. It's got really nice riffing throughout here. Like the pinch harmonics are on full display here, and they're just used excellently. You're going to hear them go over and over, but it's really awesome stuff here. This is just a super headbangable song. Really catchy, awesome stuff. After that, the fifth track, Ursa Minor, kind of switches things up completely. It almost feels like black metal style riffing at the beginning, like really fast tremolo black metal riffing. And there's even some blast beats throughout too. So I think you can tell that they have some black metal influence in their sound as well. It's just really showcasing the variety that this album has. You have like a classic rock inspired song, then you have a black metal inspired song, you have something super progressive. Like, it's all over the place, but it's all cohesive at the same time. I find the bass really shines on this song as well. Really interesting bass lines. And yeah, another catchy chorus. That is a theme throughout this album. You will be singing along for sure. After that, it goes to one of the pre-release tracks, Ursa Major. So I had listened to this song quite a bit before the album was released. The guitar absolutely shreds on this song. It's just fast-paced, really wicked stuff here. Another just absolutely catchy song. Life, life, endless life. Like, you're gonna be fucking singing to this instantly. It's so goddamn good. Definite standout track from the album. After that, the seventh song, The High Priestess. This was another pre-release track that they actually made a music video for. And this one, wow, when this song first came out, it was not what I was expecting, but wow, I absolutely love it. It's got like this jazzy feel to it with the bass and then the piano. It's just so unique. I think they self-described it as like Tom Jones meets power metal. And like, that doesn't sound like it would work, but somehow it just fucking does. They bring in a full horn section, and it's like, honestly, this is probably my favorite song on this album. It's so unique. The vocals, once again, just steal the show. They are so good here. You're going to be singing along. Who would have thought that you listen to a power metal album and you're going to be screaming candlelight and incense, candlelight and incense? But you will, because it is that goddamn good. Honestly, go check out this song. It's just amazing stuff. After that, the eighth song, The Black Elk. This one definitely has more of a progressive feel. It even brings in like some synths or keys, like to add some symphonics to the overall atmosphere. And guess what? Another catchy chorus. They just know how to write memorable vocal passages that are going to stick in your head. Got to applaud them for that. You listen to this album just a few times, and these vocal passages are going to be stuck in your head. Just really engaging and interesting riffs throughout as well. Another great song. After that, another one of the standouts in my opinion, Judgment. This is more of a sprawling epic. It's just goes so many different directions. This is emotional and powerful power metal, and it's just super well done. Brings in some guest vocals. I should have written down her name, but guest female vocals in the back half of the song, and it just really suits it. Definitely another standout on the album. It goes into the closing track, Metamorphosis. This is the longest track on the album, and it's very interesting. There's a saxophone solo. There's like tribal sounding drums. It's just really interesting stuff here. It's another curveball, but another one that really works. It's an excellent way to close out the album. There's great lead work sprinkled throughout. All in all, yeah, great way to close it off. So, those are the 10 songs. My thoughts on this on a whole, like, I gotta applaud them for just having so much variation in this album from song to song, but somehow still keeping it all cohesive, that it still sounds like it all belongs together. Like, they really swung for the fences here. It was a big swing with changing the direction of their career so much from the stylings of their previous 5 albums, but I gotta say, for the most part, this really succeeds at what they were going for. This is truly engaging throughout. There's excellent musicianship and songwriting skills on full display here. The production is crisp and clear. It's a really unique sound. You don't get too many albums like this within the power metal spectrum, and this album stands out for that very reason. I feel like John Yelland is establishing himself as one of the best power metal vocalists out there. He's just really nails it on this album. His performance is great. I gotta say, I'm really interested to see where this band goes next, if they can keep this lineup together. Like, they're obviously starting to gel. I can't wait to see what they do on the next album, if this is any sign of things to come. I will say this album, I think, is going to be very replayable. Like, obviously, the stream of this album only came out on Wednesday. It's only Friday today. I've only listened to this 4 or 5 times. So these are just fresh opinions. Opinions can change over time. But I think this is going to be a very replayable album. I'm going to be singing along to this non-stop. In my opinion, this is a top 5 power metal album from 2022. And yeah, let's score this out of 10 now. So if you have watched my rankings and reviews before, anything that scores like 7.5 and higher is something that I would recommend. If it hits 8 out of 10, that's something I strongly recommend that I think you gotta listen to. If it reaches towards 9 out of 10, that's like next level stuff that's gonna be an all-time classic. After only a few listens, it's hard to even think of something scoring as high as 9 out of 10. But I will say, does this hit 7.5 out of 10? Easily, no questions asked. Does it hit 8 out of 10? Yes, easily, no questions asked. Does it reach towards 9? Maybe not yet. I've got to give it more time, so I can't score it that high yet, but I'm comfortably going to score this over 8. I'm going to give it 8.2 out of 10 for the time being. We'll see if it rises even higher once I spend even more time with it. But now, all that being said, let's see where this album falls in the grand scheme of their career, at least in this guy's humble opinion. So, I'm going to rank all 6 of their albums from my least favorite down to my favorite. Let's go. Okay, so kicking it off in 6th place, which sucks because I don't like putting something in last place when I actually still really dig the album, but something has to come last. So don't take this as like that you shouldn't go listen to this album, because this album still kicks ass. All these albums are good, but I had to put something here. So coming in last place, I'm going with their debut, which is from 2012, King of Rome. So this one was, like I said, their first album. They were only a 2-piece at this time, so there was programmed drums. That's maybe one of the knocks on this album that could be a little bit negative, but they're still well done programmed drums. You can just, if they had a real drummer, it would have elevated the material a little bit more. But this is a concept album all about like Napoleon's battles, I believe. And this is just triumphant power metal. The guitar work and solos absolutely rip here. There's like aggressive speed metal riffing here. Think of bands like old school Iced Earth, early Blind Guardian. There's thrashy parts, but there's still so much melody infused there. And the vocals at this stage in their career, it was almost like pure Hansi Kirsch worship, which is not a bad thing in my books. Blind Guardian's probably my all-time favorite band, but he still does his own thing with it here. It's just not just a knockoff of Blind Guardian. They're putting their own spin on it, even though you can clearly feel the inspiration there, but it's just really awesome. There's even some harsh vocals sprinkled in parts, not overdone, but here and there. But yeah, the vocals are so melodic and powerful, and he shows his huge range. And all in all, like, this is an excellent debut. This is really great stuff. It pains me to put this in last place, but it's just because I like the other albums more. This is still a great album that you should go listen to. Favorite tracks on here, Rising Again, the title track King of Rome is great. Elan, the 12-minute epic closer. All in all, solid album, so still go check it out. Up next, in 5th place, I'm going with the album that was right after that, actually, from 2013, their sophomore album, Sleepy Plessau. So this is another concept album, this time about Prussia. They were still a 2-piece at this time, so once again, the drums were programmed. They kind of followed the groundwork set by the debut, but built upon that foundation and improved upon it. The layered vocals here just were really excellently done. It's got more of a power metal approach this time around than the straightforward speed metal of the debut. There's maybe a little bit more complexity to the song arrangements. You could tell that they were maturing as songwriters here and progressing along, like, developing their style to become uniquely their own. Once again, the vocals are so strong, so much range here, and like I was talking about the new album, even back here, so many catchy, memorable, sing-alongable choruses that are gonna stick in your head. The guitar work here is heavy and melodic. There's still a few harsh vocals sprinkled in here and there. Favorite tracks on here, The Elector, Release Me, Blut vom Himmel is a 12-minute epic. All in all, even though it's in 5th place, this is still a great album. Go check it out. All right, up next in 4th place, going to 2020 with their second most recent album, Let There Be Nothing. So this is another historical concept, kind of continues the style of the previous album, which I haven't talked about yet, but this really has an epic feel throughout, and it's just great storytelling throughout all these songs. This is mostly longer tracks on this album, like it's 8 songs and it's almost an hour long. This kind of continues the trend over the course of their whole career of glorious vocals and excellent guitar melodies. And it balances those excellent guitar melodies with the thrashiness and just like these moody segments as well. But it's just so well done, really solid throughout. Don't really have any complaints here. The only reason it's in 4th is because I like some other albums a little bit better. But favorite tracks here, Gloria, one of their catchiest songs ever. So goddamn good. Tomorrow's Sun, Amber Dusk actually features a guest solo from Christian Wenzer, who's an absolutely great guitar player. So all in all, yeah, nothing to complain about here. In at 4th place, but that's just because the other 3 are even more kick-ass than that. Up next at number 3, I won't go into too much detail here because I just did a whole review, but I'm putting the brand new one here. In at number 3, Majesty of Decay. Who knows, this could rise even higher in time. I'm not going to elaborate too much here. Like I said, I just did a full review, but it's in 3rd place. Now let's get to the 2 albums that I think are even better than the new one. Coming in 2nd place, I'm going to their 4th album from 2018, The Last Emperor. Oh, this was so tough between 1st and 2nd place. Any given day, these ones could swap. I absolutely love both of these albums. In my opinion, what I have in 2nd, what I have in 1st are a couple of the best power metal albums that have been released in the last 10 years. So that's how highly I think of these 2 albums. But yeah, The Last Emperor, after the 3rd album was not a historical concept, this one went back to a historical concept. Kind of trimmed down. The previous album was a little bit longer. This one's only like 48 to 50 minutes, something like that. It's more of a straightforward approach, but it's very dynamic power metal. There's just hooks galore on this album. Like, these songs are gonna stick in your head. It is so catchy. It's full of up-tempo power metal thrashers, but still has a few epics in there as well. I feel like there's a really nice incorporation of these acoustic guitar parts as well, and it's so seamless, like throwing the acoustic parts in there with the heavier aggressive parts. Just really awesome stuff here. Favorite track, Spiritual Treason, actually features Hansi Kirsch doing some guest vocals, so hearing John and Hansi go back and forth, match made in heaven, so goddamn good. The title track, The Last Emperor, is great. Take Up Your Cross, It Falls to Jerusalem, like hit after hit on this album. Sounds like this should be a number 1, right? Because I love it that goddamn much. But yeah, for today, it's in at number 2. And that just leaves 1. My favorite Judicator album is the album right before that, their 3rd album, which is from 2015, At the Expense of Humanity. So this was their first album that featured an actual drummer, and it really filled out the sound a lot more. This is still a concept album, but not around historical themes. It's a much more personal album. I think it was about John's brother who had passed away after battling cancer. So you can hear the pain in the vocals and the lyrics, and it's like it adds another dimension to this album. You don't often get that with power metal, but it really works well here. The production is really a lot cleaner and crisper than the first 2 albums, and it just sounds fuller. It sounds a lot more organic with a real drummer and with a full band. Then once again, this is a perfect mix of thrashy power metal, but also with a lot more progressive parts on this album as well. It's melodic and thought-provoking, and yeah, it's a little bit longer. It's 65 minutes. That might not be for everyone, but I don't feel that there's any weak moments here, so the length is justified. It, once again, like, the vocals really steal the show here. Riffs and melodies galore, catchy songs throughout. amazing, amazing stuff. Like I said, one of the best power metal albums from the last 10 years, in my opinion. Favorite tracks on here, the title track, At the Expense of Humanity. God's Failures, how fucking catchy is that song? So awesome. Coping Mechanism, My Fantasy Destroyed, just all in all, really amazing stuff. If you have not checked out Judicator before, definitely go listen to their new one, but go back and listen to their old stuff too, especially At the Expense of Humanity and The Last Emperor. But really, listen to their whole discography because they're underrated and deserve more love, so go check them out. If you haven't listened to them before, definitely give me your thoughts on the new album down below. Give me your thoughts on their discography as a whole. Let me know what your favorites are. Always like to get some conversations going. So, yeah, until next time, Hammer Metal Reviews out.